story about the drifter who waited for the worst cause the best lived cross town. Who never planned on having, so did. Why me, huh? Some get a little, and some get none. Some catch a bad one, and some leave the job half done. I was one who never had and always mad. Never knew my dad, motherfuck the fact. Where anywhere I did pick up, flips and clipped up, seemingly stick up, cause niggas had to trigger hiccups. I couldn't get a job, nappy hair was not allowed. My mother couldn't afford us all, she had to throw me out. I walked the strip, with this a clip who wanna hit. They got them quick, I had to eat this money straight and spit. I threw in braids, I wasn't paid enough. I kept them long cause I couldn't afford a haircut. I got laughed at, I got chumped, I got dissed. I got upset, I got a tick and a banana clip. Was down to throw the lead to any deal attack can. I still have been broke, so a lot of good would have did or done. If not for bad luck, I would have none. Why did I have to live a life for such a bad one? Why when I was a kid and played, I was a sad one. And always wanted to live like this a fat one. A ghetto bastard, born next to the projects, living in the slums with bomb session I watch it. Do I have to be like this? Mama said I'm priceless, so why am I worthless? Starving is just for being nice kid. Sometimes I wish I could afford a pistol then though. That's not the hell I would've ended things a while ago. I ain't have jack but a black hat and knapsack. Wore scars, stolen cars, and a blackjack. Drop that, and now you want me to rap and give. Say something positive, well positive ain't where I live. I live right around the corner from West Hell, 2 blocks from South shit, and once in a jail cell. The sun never shone on my side of the street, see? And only once or twice a week I would speak. I walked alone, my state of mind was home sweet home. I couldn't keep a girl, they wanted kiss for cause of chrome. Some life, if you ain't where gold, your style was old. And you got more juice and dope for every bottle sold. Hell no, I say there's gotta be a better way. But hey, never gamble in a game that you can play. I'm flown and going and no one and not now. How will I do it? How will I make it? I won't, that's how. Why me, huh? My third year to adulthood is still a knucklehead. I'm better off dead, that's what my neighbor said. I don't do jack for fighting, lighting up the street at night. Playing hide and seek with a machete, sex and Freddy's fight. So say I'm all in all, I'm nothing but a dog now. I answer that with a fuck you and a bow wow. Cause I done been through more shit within the last week than a fly blowing a doodle on a concrete. I've been a deadbeat, dead to the world and dead wrong. Since I was born, that's my life. Oh, you don't know the song? So don't say jack, and please don't say you understand. All that man talk can walk, damn. If you ain't living, you couldn't feel it, so kill it, skill it. And all I talk about it won't help it out. Now will it? And no town feel like I stuck up, dropped, got shot. Don't worry, got hit by a flurry and his fuck has dropped. But I'm the one who has been labeled as an outcast. They teach in schools I'm the misfit dollar outlast. But that's cool with the full smack 'em backwards. That's what you get for fucking with a ghetto bastard. If you ain't never been to the ghetto, don't ever come to the ghetto. Cause you wouldn't understand the ghetto. And stay the fuck out of the ghetto. Why me? Why me?
Welcome. That is Naughty by Nature. That's another one that you pay attention to the lyrics. It's deep. It's talking about black struggles, about coming up young in the hood. Just like yesterday, I had my last one was Onyx. You know, just deep. I like joint like that. That's like hip hop. You know what I'm saying? That's storytelling. You know, nowadays, it's just, I don't know what's going on nowadays, but that ain't it. But again, everyone, welcome again to another Ask Kofi Anything. Like the rules, like it was yesterday. You know, I'm gonna go through a couple of things I want to talk about, really. And I'll stop at any time if anyone wants to ask me a question about anything. So that's usually basically the rules. It's a Friday night. If you out there, going out to dinner, having a good time, going to the movies or whatever, that's cool. But if you're at home, you're a little homebody like me right now, really don't want to do nothing. I kind of want to pick a one I wanted to finish yesterday. So, that's really about it. So again, that's the rules of the show. Do a little bit of house cleaning. Remember to like, share, and subscribe. Yesterday was a very, very, very good conversation. I got to link up back with our brother Bakari and really dive into those excuse me, those topics of, N word and self defense. How black people see themselves and things of that nature. But in the meantime, let me just go through a couple of things. And again, the link is in the chat. If anyone wants to come up, ask me a question, please feel free to do so. So again, let me get my ducks in a row here. Some little so-called icebreakers I want to do. A couple of topics right here. So bear with me for a little bit. My computer's running a little bit slow, but no big deal. Hold on. You probably heard it already, so we'll line it up right now. So I found this to be interesting. So I will share this. Where we at? We right here. So this looks like another Charlie Kirk, asking a bunch of young adults, it's pretty much politically punching babies in the face right here. But, Charlie Kirk wasn't really that smart of a person anyway. But I kind of like that. I kind of like this little tiny small debate. So I'm gonna let it rock and play.
Would you rather have that black kid have a role model be Kendrick Lamar or Clarence Thomas?
Kendrick, obviously.
So not the black.
So yeah, if I had to make a decision, even the white chick knows. Even the white chick knows. I'd rather have. I don't know if she knows it. Like, if if we agree with the same reason why. But my take from this, I'd rather have a Kendrick Lamar versus a Clarence Thomas. Kendrick Lamar is more of a net positive to the black community versus the Republican Clarence Thomas, right? Who was there to replace Thurgood Marshall, which was a very honorable person to help black people. All Clarence Thomas did was take advantage of all the so-called DEI affirmative action type mechanisms to get in the position where he is, use that ladder just to set that ladder ablaze and kick it down so no one else could reach there. And then he's just finger waving to black people saying, pull yourself by the bootstraps, listening to the neo-Nazi KKK Republicans. So I agree with that answer, but let's see how it plays out.
Black American on the United States Supreme Court.
No.
Would you rather have that black kid have a role model be Kendrick Lamar or Clarence Thomas?
Kendrick, obviously.
So not.
Yeah, so I found that to be interesting. I don't know if someone posted it because they think this was like some sort of dunk. You know what I'm saying? Because to me, it wasn't. It just proved to me that, yeah, like no one wants another freaking Clarence Thomas. That'll just be crazy to me. So here's another one. I find this funny. Only people, well, I mean, you can get it even if you're not married, but it holds more weight if you're married and have children. What's up, brother Bakari? What's up, brother? Right. Yeah, this one is funny to me, but it holds a lot of weight if you're married with children. Pardon the pun. So I found this hilarious because I've been in this situation before. I'm pretty much the husband.
Kids are asleep?
Yes. What do you want?
What?
Why were you waiting here?
Just wanted to say good job
And
and maybe ask if we could have a quickie.
how quick?
I'll lay $100 on the floor, and by the time you're done picking it up, I'll be done. And you get to keep the money.
Deal.
Kids are asleep.
I like that one. That was devious. It's all yours. I didn't say you're gonna get the $100 bill. I just say you get the money. So that was funny to me right there. What's another one? There's another one that I liked. There was another one that I like. Hold on. Let's see what we got here. Oh, so this is another one that I appreciate. To me, this goes to how, like, I mean, I don't know if any of you are like Game of Thrones fans or like looking at like, oh, like, you know, what do you call that? Not science fiction, but anything like pre-period or medieval movies about Europeans, and you know they'll show you about how they were living in the 1400s and the 1400s, and you see all these castles, and you're like, oh my gosh, oh wow, those castles are so beautiful. Look how civilized these people are, and oh wow, you know. And they boast and they brag about it, but when they do that, when I look at those things, it kind of frustrates me because it's not a real depiction of how Europeans were living in those castles. It was pretty much disgusting. And this right here will give you a very good illustration of what I'm talking about.
Can you imagine? European nobles relieved themselves in corridors, behind curtains, and even on staircases. The Palace of Versailles, the most luxurious palace in Europe, was also the smelliest. Royal families lived among marble, filth, and urine. The chamber pot stood under the bed, and bathing once a month was considered too frequent. They feared water, believing that soap weakened the body, so they preferred to cover dirt with powders and perfumes. Meanwhile, across the ocean in the jungles, the Maya revered water as a deity. They bathed.
So that would be the Mayan, the Aztecs, the Incas, as well as Africans. You know, people, natural people, people of the sun. Let me just say that. People of the sun, that's by the sun belt, near the equator. Those people were people that bathed
Every morning, using soap made from flowers, volcanic ash, and aromatic plants. They also built sacred steam baths to cleanse not only the body, but also the soul. In the jungle, they constructed sewage systems, gardens, and clean cities.
Same thing in Africa. If you go to Kemet, they had canal systems, they had dams, they had fresh water and little canals and rivers running through the city to clean themselves. They had an irrigation system. Europeans did not.
Not out of vanity, but from a spiritual devotion, Europeans walked in silk through filth, while the Maya walked barefoot, yet remained pure both inside and out.
And that's another thing that I have. There's this thing called earthing. I don't know if you guys ever heard of that. I don't know if a European made that up, but basically what earthing is basically walking bare feet, having your toes go through the grass and just grab the grass with your toes and your feet and really get in tune with nature, right? But a lot of Black people have a very Western European Arabized mindset and make fun of you for being bare feet, which I don't understand. You know what I'm saying? And the thing we have to understand, African people made shoes and sandals way before European know what a window was. But again, it all has to do with you having knowledge of yourself. And this is key to, you know, things I'm presenting, unless anyone wants to come in and call it. It's all about key of having knowledge of yourself. That to me, that is the objective, the phrase of the show, knowledge of self. Do we really have knowledge of self? So they walk around bare feet, way more civilized than the Europeans, in my humble opinion, way more educated in the sciences because they understand cleanliness from a scientific level as well from a spiritual level, you know. So, but you have Europeans there wearing shoes, cutting themselves off from earthing, cutting themselves off from Mother Earth. But you can kind of tell, you know, it's no surprise. You cut yourself off from Mother Earth, you have a you're gonna have a tendency to have a particular characteristic about yourself and about your natural surroundings. But I found this to be interesting.
Can you imagine?
So I'll stop sharing that. So yeah, I found that to be interesting. I don't know if a lot of people know that. They think in these castles, like these high castles that you would think of when you look at Snow White and Rapunzel, and they're way up in that tower. There's no plumbing in there. So how do they? Yeah. So imagine you like 4 or 5 stories up, the king, the queen, and all those people, all those subjects, they pooping and pissing, and like that's gotta go. That's gotta go somewhere. It's disgusting, and it causes a lot of health issues, right? So yeah, so we have to get out this mind frame of anything white is just automatically better, and look how it looks, how it looks nice and look all prestige and stuff like that. Yeah, that's what white people want you to think, that everything is just, we're just the pinnacle of society and civilization, right? So I got one more here. It's kind of piggyback on what the Bitter Medicine podcast and last week. Remember, tomorrow Bitter Medicine podcast at 8 p.m. this Saturday, which will be tomorrow. So this right here is kind of piggybacking off of a subject that we shared on the Bitter Medicine podcast, and I found this to be interesting.
They over here talking about the raptures happening in 2025, and now that I think about it, yeah, I'm excited. When are y'all leaving? I'll pack your bags for you.
Yeah, the rapture was happening. Hey, maybe some people need to leave, like our brother Bwanda said. He was like, "Oh, you believe in a rapture? You believe in Jesus coming down from a cloud or from a stairway from heaven," which is also a Bible story. A stairway from heaven and all that. You believe that's going to happen? All right, fine. Sign over the deed to your house. Give me your car. So give me all your assets, and I'll be here in hell suffering while you have a good time while you're looking down on me. If you know any idiots like that, please do that. Please do that. Maybe we'll wake them out of their delusion. So yeah, I found that one to be funny. I think that's about it on this one for now. So let me move a little bit forward. So I just found this out. Dave Chappelle was doing some type of comedy venue that they have, right? Hold on, before I present it, I want to try to get rid of all these freaking ads. Yeah, but Dave Chappelle is back in the spotlight again. Obviously, not for good reasons. When he's in the spotlight, it's never for a good reason, but it's always interesting and entertaining. But I just found this out, that Dave Chappelle was on some venue that they have with a whole bunch of comics, where they were getting together and things of that nature. And this right here, if you see it, it says Dave Chappelle said he has more free speech in Saudi Arabia than the U.S. as comedian takes jabs at Charlie Kirk during Riyadh Comedy Festival or whatever. Dave Chappelle was blasted for saying he had more free speech to make jokes in Saudi Arabia while performing at the Riyadh Comedy Festival right now in America. And so this is a quote. So right now in America, they say that if you talk about Charlie Kirk, that you'll get canceled. The comedian told a crowd of 6,000 people in Riyadh. I don't know if that's true, but I'm going to find out. That sounds like Dave Chappelle. Like, he's gonna test those limits. He's like, I don't know if it's true, but I'm about to find out. Right. The legendary comic was called soulless. Yeah, okay. Certain people was probably saying that. And a hypocrite for performing in front of Saudi royals and joking about Kirk. So this is in Saudi Arabia, right? Dave Chappelle, who went to Africa to blah, 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 I'm not even going to read that because I kind of read this a little bit ahead, and it's like a lot of MAGA apologist right here. So basically, that's what it was. Dave Chappelle shot controversial, comedy festival by saying he felt feared, yada yada yada. Right. Something here I wanted to read. Yes, right here. So, fellow performer Bill Burr, shout out to him. Bill Burr's the man. Confirmed on his podcast earlier this week that comics had negotiated with the government to make it so they could say anything they wanted, excepted for the Roy's religion. So they can't talk about Islam and Muslims or whatever, but they could talk about whatever else they want. Sounds like a theocracy. On Chappelle, who converted to Islam when he was 17, was apparently unmoved by any. I didn't know he was is he a practicing Muslim? Oh shit, I didn't know that. Did y'all know that Dave Chappelle was a Muslim? Anyway, I don't know if he's a practicing Muslim. Okay, unmoved by any potential outrage. It's easier to talk here than it is in America, he said. Chappelle even said he feared reprisal over material critical of Israel's response in Gaza to the October 7 terror attack. They're going to do something to me so that I can't say what I want to say, Chappelle said. The audience appeared to take notice at the comedian's material. I found it so interesting to hear political jokes targeting Trump and Charlie Kirk. One person in the audience said of the comic set. The comic who has often been spoken being canceled over his stance on transgender, yada. Right, so not really that much disagreement. I wish I was there. I can't find videos of that set. I would like to. I don't know if you guys can find a video of that set. You know what I'm saying? That would be good. But so far, I can't find any videos about that set. Before he said, what is your identity? I'm a male. If you could be a little bit more specific. One thing I know, I'm not. I know I ain't no nigga. I ain't no Negro. I'm not a real nigga, a natural nigga. I know I'm not those things. That's for sure. I know I'm not those things. But yeah. So let me know if you want to give you a more detailed answer about that. So there's another article about when he was over there in Saudi Arabia. Let me see if I could find it. Is that it? Nope, that ain't it. I think it's, yes, this one right here. So right here. So-called quote-unquote soulless Dave Chappelle takes jab at Charlie Kirk, yada, yada. You were in Saudi Arabia. Why would the hell they care about freaking you saying something bad about Charlie Kirk? Like, they don't care. They got no dog in the fight. Dave Chappelle is facing a major backlash after using his set with Rider Comedy Festival to make poignant jokes at Charlie Kirk assassination and the state free speech in America. And that is true. Like Jimmy Kimmel even didn't say anything crazy about Charlie Kirk, and he got canceled. So what Dave Chappelle is saying is absolutely right. Sparking outrage over fans, yada 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 yada. Dave Chappelle, blah, blah, blah. Performing for a crowd of more than 6,000 people, Chappelle didn't shy away from the hot button topic. Right now in America, they say if you talk about Charlie Kirk, you get canceled. He told the audience per Variety. I don't know if that's true, but I'm gonna find out. So if you guys could, look out for like the video of that. I don't know if anyone has a video recording of that, but that would be great if someone has a video recording of it. And I think in this article, the other article, I ain't gonna read that. There was some comedians that was in solidarity to him. They had a gay guy that was a comedian, and he said, "Look, I'm going to stay anyway because they're paying me like a little over $300,000 to do a set, so I'm going to do it. That's a lot of money." So, but they had some comedians that came in solidarity to back Dave Chappelle. But yeah, see if you can find that video. And Dave Chappelle, I mean, just because you converted to Islam doesn't mean you're a practicing Muslim. There's a lot of people, a lot of Christians that were baptized, but they're not really practicing Christians. So, I mean, take it for what it's worth. I'll just learn something. So, yeah, I found that funny. So yeah, that's the whole Dave Chappelle fiasco. You know, he's always entertaining. So the next one, right? FBA goons. So FBA goons on the To Be Fair show Discord. Shout out to To Be Fair show. When I talk about FBA goons, they know who they're talking about. They brought this to my attention, but my wife also brought this to my attention. And, you know, I was looking at it, right? So I don't know if you guys heard. I mean, small potatoes. I guess you gotta be from that area to really know what was going on. So they had not there. Where? Yeah, yes. So my fellow Guyanese person got deported. He got deported. A Guyanese man that's been here forever has got deported. Now, obviously, you know, as a Guyanese person, you know, he has excelled at everything, you know, saying what he wanted to do. So, you know, of course, they're going to have no choice but to take pride in that, right? Let's play what's going on here, and then I'm going to read what happened real quick.
As we too are devastated by
Dr. Roberts joined us in July.
Now, man, Dr. Roberts.
Dr. Roberts joined us in July 2023 and has held educational leadership positions in districts across the U.S. for 20 years. The Iowa Board of Educational Examiners issued Dr. Roberts a license to serve as superintendent in the state of Iowa in July 2023. There is new information that has been made public that we did not know, and we have not been able to verify as to whether that information is accurate.
we stand firm with our community, many of whom are feeling sad, outraged, and helpless. We understand as we too are devastated by the news of his detainment. However, this does not stop our important work, and we will continue to provide outstanding education to the students in our community. Know this, we have protocols and processes in place to address this type of situation. We have leaders who will continue to show up in a way that communicates care, empathy, service, and action. We will lead with love and care for the dignity of human beings in Des Moines and across our country. This is challenging on many levels, and the reality is that we may not have additional answers right away. However, the strength of Des Moines Public Schools is in its people, our leaders, educators, and staff who will continue to advance the mission.
Yeah. All right. So let's read the article over here real quick. So I read another article that, you know, I don't think it's this article. No, it was another article. I think it was a CBS article that I was reading, and they were talking about how he has transformed the lives of the students, like kids that weren't passing are now passing, kids that were, you know, getting in trouble for truancy were no longer getting for truancy. So I heard he was very, very instrumental in the transformation and for the students doing better academically, you know. So he really steered them in the right direction, right? So it's bad that happened, but let's see how this Conte get in trouble. So the superintendent of the largest public school district in Iowa, shout out to that, was arrested Friday by Immigration and Customs Enforcement, which alleged he was in the country illegally without work authorization. Andre Roberts, a Guyana national and superintendent of Des Moines Public School, was arrested in Operation ICE announced in a news release. Roberts has helmed the district since July of 2023, according to its website. It described him as a career educator. Why is it in quotations. Fucking assholes. Career educator with more than 2 decades of experience as a teacher. So why is it fucking quoted? He has 2 decades in as a teacher. So why did you quote career educator? With 2 or more decades of experience as a teacher, administrator, and executive leader. He previously served as a superintendent in 2 districts in Pennsylvania and Missouri. Roberts worked as a superintendent in Iowa despite having legal status, despite having a final order removed and no work authorization, the ICE News release said. So this is what ICE is saying. He had entered the U.S. in 1999 on a student visa and was given a final order of removal by an immigration judge in May 2024. ICE said Roberts had an existing weapon possession charge from February 5th, 2020, according to the release. Agents approached Roberts on Friday with his vehicle after he had identified himself but drove off. ICE said the vehicle was later found near a wooded area in Iowa. State Patrol then assisted in the search for him Friday morning. The release said he was ultimately taken into custody. The Iowa Department of Public Safety said it assisted ICE with finding the person identified as Roberts who fled from a traffic stop. At the time of his arrest, he was found in possession of a loaded handgun and 3 G's in cash and a flexible blade hunting knife. The man was ready to cut down your skunt, man. The Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearms, and Explosives will handle the investigation into how Roberts acquired the gun, yada, 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 yada. So this is like, I'm upset in the matter of saying, like, man, should have got your shit straight, bro. Should have got your paperwork straight, man. You know, these people here don't play, man. You should have got your paperwork straight to put all that energy and education to excel to excellence on that level, operate on that level to help children is very commendable. But it's for nothing now, because if these charges, what they say is true, man, you're going back to Georgetown, you're going back to Berbice, you're going back to Democrat. Like, come on, man. Like what you doing? Like, what you doing? It's like when you like, and you got a gun on you, like, yo, bro. At least you could have been on some like, yo, you know, I was working here, you know, I did good, I moved, I didn't catch the mail or something. But the moment you got a blade and you got a gun on you, they're gonna say, all right, nah, you're a threat. You're a threat. Even though, you know what I'm saying, just having a gun, there's a lot of people here that have guns and stuff like that, and they get a slap on the wrist. But, bro, your paperwork ain't straight. And the narrative in this day and age, if you ain't white, it ain't right. You know, and they're gonna send you back first thing on right back to Georgetown. That's where you're gonna go now, back to Berbice or whatever you're from. So I found that to be like, wow and damn, but it is what it is. Hopefully, you know, he has enough pull, and his friends right there would, you know, hopefully he'll be able to stay. But if not, you know, I really can't be mad at that, because you kind of did it to yourself, bro. So yeah, so that's the story with that. What I really wanted to get into yesterday that I didn't get into today is this. So again, I said the theme of today's broadcast is pretty much right now is knowledge of self. And picking up what we were talking about yesterday, remember I said that there's a lot. The reason why you have these groups called FBA, ADOS, Freeman, Negroes think they're Native American, things like that, because these people aren't well-read people. Some of them may be educated in the jobs that they are suited for, but besides that, they have no knowledge of self. Carter G. Woodson says, if you read in The Miseducation of the Negro, in that book, he says a black person has to give himself 2 forms of education, one in academia and one for himself. And you have a lot of black people here, they receive a college degree or whatever in academia, right? You know, it could be from a bachelor's, it could be from an associate's to a PhD, to a doctorate. And they think you can't say shit to them. They think they just know everything. You know, saying that you know everything within whatever your degree is and whatever your expertise is within your career, right? If you're, again, I said this before, if you're a civil engineer, right, you're not gonna know anything about biology or chemistry. You know, saying if someone else is on the level of a bachelor's or a master's of a chemist, you're not going to know certain fundamental things about that. You see what I'm saying? Like, you know, you just stay in your lane. But anyway, what I'm trying to say is you have these people that they don't know who they are as Black people, right? And it's the same thing that our grandmaster teachers have told us. That's what Malcolm X said. That's what Dr. Clark said. That's what Dr. Ben said. John G. Jackson. They all said these things. Carter G. Woodson. And I'm about to show you how this all is. It's plain. I've seen this playing out in my face many a times, especially online on the internet, right? In the person too sometimes, but especially online on the internet. Someone would say something absolutely insane, and you be looking around like, yo, am I getting punked? Is this a hidden camera show? Or are you trolling me in real life? Because what you said was absolutely freaking insane. It makes no sense. Hold on one moment. I want to make sure I am, which I am not. So I'm glad I did. I wanted to make sure that I was in the right area. Just give me one moment. Yeah, so when people say these things, I have to like check myself. Like, yo, did I just hear that? Did that person just say what I thought they said? So, without further ado, I'm just gonna share what I'm talking about. So again, shout out to the Be Fair Show. This is their Discord. Enter and proceed with extreme caution. And remember also to be a part of the Bitter Medicine Podcast Discord too, please. We got a couple of new members from last week. That's good. That's good. Let's do better this week. Right. So right here. So this is me talking to FBA right here. So you know me, it's Kofi, right? So right here, he says, I'm trying to shame. So he says, so you're trying to shame me for being proud of who I am, you know what I'm saying? And, you know, I'm on short bus, but what is alternative hating myself? So again, this person is king of moving the goalposts, because we're having a conversation about admixture and what makes a African American, right? And this is a person that is your standard typical FBA person who takes on white supremacist talking points in describing African people, you know what I'm saying, and as well as other people, you know what I'm saying. If you talk about, hey, there was an instance where, hey, you know, Africa, you know, they are, I say something like, hey, Africa, they have their own car manufacturing company, right? They'll say, oh, that's good, but they need to work on their roads because they don't have no roads. I'm like, what? What do you mean Africa has no roads? They have no streets. Oh, they got no paved streets. I'm like, bro, what? And of course, I get cut off, and, you know, because, you know, they're like just trolling statements. I'm like, bro, I've been to North Carolina, Virginia, and these roads are not even paved. It's just dirt roads. They think every road in America is just paved with lanes and guardrails and street lights. That's a goddamn lie. You know what I'm saying? That's a goddamn lie. So it's things like that. I'm saying this to give you the idea of the type of person who I'm talking to. So basically, I'm saying right here, you honor your rapist. Use this like the African side, right? And this is where, you know, I have this picture right over here. You know what I'm saying? It's basically a House of Negro mentality. that they have when you talk to these FBAs. You know what I'm saying? They see something there and it's like, wow, that's shameful. You know what I'm saying? Which I get it, I understand, right? But then why are you shaming your African side and kind of bigging up your rapist side? Same thing that I showed last week with Francis Press Welsing. You know what I'm saying? So if this fat boss hog bastard rapes this beautiful black woman over there and they have a child, right? And that child has a kid, that mother's going to tell that kid, oh no, you're Native American. You're not half white, you're Native American. You're Native American. And as our Queen Mother says, no, you're not Native American. You were raped. Plain and simple. That's it. Right? So this is the conversation that we're having back and forth that I'm going to show you. And then, so that's what I said. He said, y'all hate when FBAs have self-esteem. It's like, what? He said, the shit is hilarious, right? And I was like, I said, if you were real, you would honor your African grandmother and talk and wouldn't talk ill of whites, not Africans. But again, he's not addressing what I'm saying, obviously. He says, I love myself, Kofi, go cry about it. Makes me love myself even more. I talk ill of tethers and white supremacy. This is a lie. He doesn't. He doesn't at all. And FBA Coons, which he doesn't at all. He provides cover for them, right? So again, not addressing what I'm saying. I say, you see where you get your self-esteem from. And shout out to No Pity on Twitter. He or she goes in on these FBAs, Ados, Freeman, black Indian tethers. You know what I'm saying? So they go in on them. So I said, no, the wet dream of all FBA. We are proud Americans. You African Caribbeans should go back to your third world countries and leave us and Massa alone. And there's a lot of validity to that, right? But one thing that always clicks in my mind when people, if you understand or you even seen lectures or of Dr. Clark, and he talks about people, he wasn't even talking about black people because this is just despicable. I don't think he ever think black people in mass would say things like this. His own people in mass would say things like this, berate Africans and say you're from a third world country. And basically he said, white people keep talking about Africa is backwards and it's bad and it's a third world country. What's a second world country? What makes a second world country a second world country? What makes a first world country a first world country? And how did that third world country get to be, or why is it a third world country? And when you ask these uneducated FBAs, because they put this label on you and they try to put this stain on you, they can't explain it. Obviously, they can't explain it. You know what I'm saying? Because FBA is basically a bunch of group of people who has pretty much. I'm trying to be good here. FBA people are just a bunch of people who have a credible grievance in America, right? Who has been done wrong in America, right? Who has issues with white supremacy, but they want to be close to and next to whiteness, right? So all of the things that they would say, there is a bunch of people that are not very intelligent. So when you find out what an FBA is and what makes FBA, an intelligent African American is like, okay, that don't sound right, and they'll just sign off. But if you're a African American that doesn't understand history too well, then hey, everything else they said makes sense. So what they're saying over here also got to make sense. So anyway, so yeah, so when you talk about, you know, second world, third world, like what are you talking about exactly? They can never explain it. But at the end of the day, this is just what they want, pretty much. At the end of the day, a comfortable place next to Massa. So that's why I put that picture there, right? And he says, no matter how many of these slave play fantasies you post, I must still be proud of who I am. Again, am I saying that he should not be proud of being African American? as you see what I wrote there, I said, you honor your rapist side, you honor the slave master side, and you demean the African side. It's easy for anybody to follow, but is being disingenuous as he is. So pretty much I say he got like a we sick boss mentality. Now, this is the crazy shit. I think it makes sense now. My self-esteem comes from loving who I am and loving my FBA family. Yours come from Africa, a place you never been. Damn, that's actually pretty sad. Now, there's no dummies that are my subscribers that understand why that's completely problematic. And it's telling to what I'm saying. A Negro saying something, well, you haven't been to Africa. You get in love from a place where you never been. So that's crazy. You have to actually been to a place to love to love and appreciate your lineage. That's why I'm saying these people don't understand what lineage is. They talk about lineage this, lineage that. This is a part of my lineage, and this is a part of my lineage, and lineage this and lineage that. Anyone that understands that, no, you don't have to go to a place or visit the place in order for that to be your lineage or be a part of your genealogy. So it's very, very retarded and stupid for him to say that, right? But already dagger for that. Already gets a dagger for that. But I'm going to twist the dagger a little bit more, right? So I'm going to write, I said, this just reinforces that you are not educated. You're not educated, well-read person outside of your profession, and definitely not an intelligent person to say such foolishness with such conviction. You are what many Black educated grandmaster teachers talk about what is wrong with Black people and the slave mentality that holds us back. So here's this. This is a situation. Here's what I posted just now, a video that I posted.
These are the questions. These are the questions you and I have to ask. How did we get this mind? You're not an American. You're an African who happens to be in America. You have to understand the difference. We didn't come over on the Nina, the Pinta, and the whatchamacallit. We didn't land on Plymouth Rock. Plymouth Rock landed on us. Landed right on top of us.
And that's what I showed. So again, if anyone that's familiar with Malcolm X and other greats that came before Malcolm X, to say something like that is ridiculous. And there's a difference between knowing and implementing that knowledge in your everyday life where you're able to live it out. So even if he knew of that, is not something that he takes in and applies it to his everyday life. Because, he's a part of a cult called FBA. So it makes sense why he would say something like that. So unless he knows more, him or Tariq Nasheed knows more and better than Malcolm X, I don't know what the hell he's talking about.
Shorty, is that you, brother? Praise be to Allah. Now, this is exactly what I'm talking about, the slave mentality, the slave mind. This brother and I, we had the slave mind. We used to rob together. We used to sleep with white women. We even went to prison together. Now, don't be surprised when I say we went to prison, because some of y'all still in prison right now. Prisons of your mind. Stand up, brother. Exactly. Come on. Your brother's a little shy. Come on, brother, give me a hug. Yeah. That's all.
Yeah, so first dagger, right? So I think there was the one on Instagram here. Hold on, I might have to stop sharing this to share that. Hold on one second. I'm not sure. Do I have to? Yes, I kind of have to. So some of you may say, oh, that's just, the movie, they probably misquoted him or whatever. Okay. That's a very low bar, but fine. I'll meet you at that low bar. Right. And we'll share the actual speech where he said that.
Americans who are so-called.
Hold on, refresh it.
Who are so-called Negro. One of the reasons that it is bad for us to continue to just refer to ourselves as so-called Negro, that's negative. When we say so-called Negro, that's pointing out what we aren't, but it isn't telling us what we are. We are African, and we happen to be in America. We're not American. We are people who formerly were Africans who were kidnapped and brought to America.
So again, where is this FBA? We ain't African, and it's insane. He doesn't know who they are. So again, if Malcolm X so if him and Tariq Nasheed know better than Malcolm X, I would like for him to say, well, Malcolm X doesn't know what he's talking about. Me and Tariq Nasheed knows better than Malcolm X. I would like to know that. Because I'm not sure it was before or after Malcolm X been to Africa, but Malcolm X had this mentality even before he went to Hajj, before he did his pilgrimage. So Malcolm X is wrong.
Our forefathers weren't the pilgrims. We didn't land on Plymouth Rock. The rock was linked. We were not brought here to enjoy the constitutional gifts that they speak so beautifully about today. And because we weren't brought here to be made citizens today, now that we've become awakened to some degree and we begin to ask for those things which they say are supposedly for Americans, they look upon us with hostility and unfriendliness. So our unwanted presence, the fact that we are unwanted, is becoming magnified in all of America's preachments today. African.
Amen to that. Amen to that. So already another dagger. You know what I'm saying? When it comes to this conversation, metaphorically speaking, he got like 3 daggers in his back already with the statement that he just said. But no. I'm not finished. I got a couple of more daggers. It is not over. It is not over. Let's get back to it. Right? So there's that. So here's another one that I posted. This modern House Negro loves his master. He wants to live near his master. So obviously this is the speech of the House Negro and the Field Negro. He wants to live near his master. This modern House Negro loves his master. He wants to live near him. He'll pay 3 times as much as the house is worth just to live near his master, and then brag about, I'm the only Negro out here. I'm the only one on my job. I'm the only one in this school. You ain't nothing but a house Negro. And if someone comes to you right now and says, let's separate, you say the same thing that the house Negro said on the plantation. What do you mean separate? From America? This good white man? Where are you going to get a better job than when you get here? I mean, this is what you say. I ain't left nothing in Africa. That's what you say. Why you left your mind in Africa, right? And this whole speech, and I did a little video, a short video on that. If you check it out on my page, I did a video of Malcolm X. You look at the thumbnails, Malcolm X pointing to Tariq Nasheed, and I'm saying this whole speech right here, when he's talking about the House Negro, he is talking about people like Tariq Nasheed and his minions and his followers and his cult following. Because everything here, they are against. They are against. So, for instance, right? They would say, separate. Why do I want to run? I want to stay here. You know, I'm not going to run. What's the narrative right now? He's saying, Harriet Tubman is a fleer. People that went to Liberia, they're not really Black American. So people like Harriet Tubman that took people to Canada, and other Black people that left, that were a part of chattel slavery, they're no longer Black Americans or quote unquote FBA anymore because they left. He did the same thing yesterday that I showed you with Assata Shakur, where now he's changing the narrative like he did with Drake, changing the narrative and saying, no. She's still FBA, but she fled. You said people from Liberia and other Africans that fled, they're not FBA because FBA always stayed and fight. They stayed and fight through slavery. They stayed and fight during Jim Crow, and they don't run. But Assata Shakur ran. Right? So, for example, you can see that already it all falls apart. FBA right now, what FBA is a chameleon. They got a flag they have a flag represent a nation that's non-existent, that has no land, no political power, no assets or anything like that. But usually a flag that represents a nation has land, and it'll have a international flower or international animal that will represent. The FBA animal should be a chameleon because it's always changing. It's always changing, right? So I put that there. So I'm doing my due diligence right here, right? And I've simply said your stance is simply fundamentally wrong about who you are. Who you are has to be a place that you visited or had never been. This is what your cult of FBA has nothing to do with lineage. It has to do with being anti-black, and pretty much you guys get the point. So this video right here. So I put this whole video is a really good video, right? But I did a timestamp here, so I don't know if you guys recognize this brother. I knew of him a while back. I think I bought this book a while back. I gotta look in my library or some books I have in a box. But I first discovered him on YouTube. I was like, wow. So to me, he's the original Dr. Umar. He's the original true blue Dr. Umar. So hold on a second. I'm gonna what was it? The timestamp. I believe that's the person, the timestamp. Hold on 1 second. So hold on, I'm going to play it right now. This is the original.
Join Dr. Jawanza Kunjufu for his presentation of developing positive self-images and discipline in Black children. Dr. Kunjufu.
So if you guys don't know who this person is or you never seen this video, I strongly suggest you look at this. But for the sake of time and the subject that we're talking about, I'm going to go to the times where he is driving my point home. Right? So, yeah, here. Oh, no. Here is good. Right? So basically right here, I said this whole video is, and the book is brilliant. I suggest you look at the whole video, but he has a short attention span. So I suggest you look at the 28-minute, 34-second mark. And that's where we're going to start.
On child development, we have to work with them on their own self-esteem, on their own relationship, on how to find a job. So I believe many times we have not asked them what kind of workshops they're interested in. And Head Start is more successful because they ask the parents what they need, rather than us deciding for them what they should have. Okay, let me go on because of our time. Let me move to the third area, and that's one of my favorites, and that's the issue of student self-esteem. I sincerely believe that education is more than reading, more than writing, is more than math. It should first of all teach our children who they are. You see, if you don't know who you are, then you will not know what to do with your life. And if you don't know what to do with it, then you won't know how to achieve your goals. So Alex Haley raised the question of who am I? And he asked his mother, father, aunts, and his uncles who he was. Some people told Alex they were Negro. Some told Haley they were colored. Others told Alex they were Black. Some said they were Afro-American. Some told Alex they were African. And lastly, some said American. Now, we have the only children and some adults that give 6 different answers to a very simple question like, who am I? Again, you cannot teach a child that is, first of all, not know who he is. It's more important than reading, math, and science. So we began to ask ourselves, why do Germans call themselves Germans? Why do Chinese call themselves Chinese? And we were told there's a land called Germany. There's a land called China. So let's go back to a world map. Germans are Germans, land called Germany. Chinese are Chinese, land called China. Let's go to a world map. Is there a place in the world called Negro land? What about color land? What about Black land? What about Afro-American land? There's only 2 answers left, Africa and America. But be honest, what comes to most of our children's mind when they hear the word Africa? Tarzan, running around no clothes on? Be honest. And what about America? Red, white, and blue and apple pie? That's because this word right here, which is nothing but his story. You didn't know that? It's all history is. It's somebody's story. You know what I'm talking about. Columbus didn't discover America. He was lost. And the end discovered him. And Abraham Lincoln didn't free any slaves.
So that was a very quick breakdown of identity, right? Of identity. People are called based upon where they are from. Okay, FBA, way in the back, sniffing on glue, chewing on your eraser. There's a difference between nationality, right, and ethnicity. Anybody could be an American anywhere in the world. They could be American because that's their nationality. If that could be their nationality, because it's a nation. You can move to any nation and get citizenship to any nation. If you're from China and you're a Chinese person from China, you could be Chinese American. You could be a black person, right, from Africa and be a African Chinese citizen. That doesn't mean you're Chinese. You can speak Cantonese or Mandarin, live in China for most of your life. You're still an African in China. It's very, very simple. It's not that hard to figure out, right? So that's what I put. So pretty much I said this is where you're going to start moving the goalposts like he always does, and, you know, or come up with a straw man argument or whatever, right? So I gave several examples. I'm not calling the person names or anything like that. I'm giving them examples of why or what you said makes no sense. And this is his response. They deported that ass back to Guyana. This guy right here that I just spoke about. So this is a win in what way? So now you have a black man. This is why I'm saying they're anti-black. So you have a black man that was contributing to a school system helping out children, but they don't care about that. But this is his response to everything. So basically, this is what was happening. I'm not going to get too much into it or whatever, because he's just basically running from what I said, like a pink ass bitch ass Power Ranger. He's just running from all the points that I've made. That's why FBAs don't do debates. They don't do debates. They stay on their cesspool in their corner of the internet, and they just talk their shit without being checked. That's all that is. So you guys pretty much knows what it is. I'm not even gonna bother reading all that, but basically, you know, I was pretty much done. You know, saying, you know, the whole Harriet Tubman saying, I freed 1,000 slaves, I could have freed 1,000 more if they only knew that there were slaves and things like that. So that's pretty much it there. So that's kind of what I want to share, meaning that you have people that do not have knowledge of self. They say these crazy things with their chest out, like they're saying something like, yeah, and it's totally embarrassing. Totally embarrassing. I don't care if you got a PhD from Harvard. If you just said some shit like that and you're a black person, you're a fucking retard. You're an idiot. Plain and simple. I found this to be interesting. So basically I was saying, knowing FBA is a made up unhistoric hate group or whatever, I was basically saying if you had FBA came together, if FBA was to come together as their own different branch and version ethnically of Black Americans, and they did this right here, I got no problem with it. And just look at this. This is beautiful. Jasmine Crockett, yo, she you know, I'm just gonna show you. She roasted this dude.
All right, folks. So when Congress was voting on the this DC bill that dealt with the issue of crime, it was introduced by Florida Congressman Byron Donalds. He took to the floor of the House to share why he thought this bill should be passed. Well, Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett, let's just say she had a few words for him, saying, you're mighty hypocritical, Byron. Here's what he said, and then what she said.
I'm not saying Jasmine Crockett's on FBA shit, but this is what you're supposed to do when anybody get out of pocket, especially someone. You'll just see. You'll just see. You'll just see. I love this.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I rise today in strong support of my bill, H.R. 4922, the D.C. Crimes Act. Now, in reference to what the gentleman was just talking about, Article 1, Section 8, Clause 17 of the United States Constitution is quite clear. It grants Congress the power to exercise exclusive jurisdiction over the federal district, which all Americans know now is Washington, D.C., and it is the nation's capital. That is in the Constitution that was ratified by the several states. Congress does have the constitutional authority to regulate activities within the federal district. So when it is said that somehow Congress is now eroding local control, that is simply not true. Any local powers by the DC City Council have been granted to the DC City Council by Congress. And Congress is the seat of authority when it comes to the federal enclave. It was also talked about Florida's laws. Well, let's be very clear. Florida has established itself as a beacon of law and order and making sure that our citizens are safe throughout all of our jurisdictions. So if there are some abilities for some measures of flexibility, Florida has proven beyond a shadow of a doubt that it knows how to keep its people safe. Very different with respect to the DC City Council and with respect to crime, escalated crime here in the nation's capital. Our great nation's capital has been plagued by violence, destruction, disorder for far too long, and decades of weak pro-crime leadership has turned this once great city into a dystopia. I would remind my colleagues on the other side of the aisle that some of their colleagues have been victimized by the crime here in Washington, D.C. Rather than prioritizing the safety of law-abiding and protecting the lives of innocent residents and visitors, district officials have actively facilitated dysfunction and chaos through their progressive soft-on-crime policies. Instead of addressing the clear epidemic of youth crime in the city, the DC City Council increased the age of youth offenders to individuals 24 years old and younger, meaning fully grown legal adults in the District of Columbia can receive sentences meant for children. This is simply insane. And that is why I introduced the DC Crimes Act, which lowers the definition of youth from under the age of 25 to under the age of 18, removes the ability of judges to sentence youth offenders below mandatory minimum guidelines, and requires the DC Attorney General to establish a public website containing much needed statistics on juvenile crime in DC. The Trump administration's efforts have shown that lawlessness is a choice.
Lawlessness is a choice. So basically, he's lowering the age for, remember, we're talking about DC. In DC is Black City, right? So he is like most Black Republicans, carrying the water of white supremacy for white people. So it won't, seem to be so racist, but it's the ideology, right? But, we got some Negroes that fall for the okie doke. But so this is what he's advocating for.
And it is time for Congress to step up, adhere to our constitutional duty, and firmly address crime in the nation's capital. For the citizens of DC, I would say, we wish your council did this the right way, but they did not, and we will act. I yield back the balance of my time.
As I sat and listened to the beginning of this debate, my heart simply broke. And many people know me for being able to do alliterations, and all I could think about was amnesia allows adolescent accountability avoidance agility from across the aisle. So work with me for a second. Imagine being a young man born to Jamaican and Panamanian parents who messed up not once but twice. Imagine
That's my people, Jamaican and Panamanian. That's my wife's people. A Panamanian Jamaican man. This is crazy. I'll let her continue. I'll let her continue.
Imagine standing in front of a judge with your whole future hanging in the balance, and instead of prison, you are given a promise of mercy. Your record gets wiped clean. You get a second chance at life. Now imagine taking that promise and turning it into promotion. You go to college, you get a job, and even become a member of Congress. That's what redemption looks like. That's what America is supposed to be about. And that is exactly the story of the next wannabe governor from Florida. As a young man, he went through pretrial diversion for misdemeanor marijuana possession. As an adult, yet younger than 24, he was charged with and ultimately placed on probation for felony bribery charges, which ultimately were 2 expunged.
The man's a thief. Yo, if you sell a herb, you sell a herb. But a man a thief. He's a thief, man. And his record was expunged. Interesting.
He was given a 3rd chance, and now he's the face of a bill that would not afford young people in Washington, D.C. the same opportunities afforded to him. Let me be real. If he had grown up under Donald Trump's America or under the very D.C. crime bill he's pushing today, he wouldn't be standing here as a member of Congress. He'd still be living with the weight of those charges. So let's call this what.
Nah, that Negro will be back in Jamaica. Under Trump's America, that Negro will be back in Jamaica. Talking all that dumb shit. He will be back in Jamaica. But this is what I'm saying. This is what Republicans do. And I spoke about Clarence Thomas earlier in the beginning. They get to a position, they take Democratic policies that helps them, right? DEI, affirmative action, on prison reform, trying to cut down the school to prison pipeline. All those stuff are Democratic push agendas, right? Not Republicans. But when these Negroes get into places of high position, they want to burn all those things down that help them so other Black people won't rise. This is what I'm talking about. And so when I got a bunch of stupid ass niggas on trying to shame me because I'm on the left or a Democrat, automatically you're on the opposite side of the aisle. Because you're not on my side. You're definitely not on my side. But you got people doing like this. So people like that can't shame me. And this is what you got to do. This is what you got to do. So people like this, just shame them. They're frauds. They're not Black people. They're something else. They're fucking tools. Let them know their function of what type of tool they are. If they're a hammer, they're a wrench. What type of tool this Negro is. And this is what Jasmine Crockett is doing. She's exposing what type of tool this Negro is.
It is opportunities for me, but not for thee. He climbed the ladder of redemption, and now he's yanking it right up from the DC youth. See, most of us were taught to lift as you climb, but clearly some have forgotten to lift as they climb, and now they are committed to telling the next generation to pull themselves up by their bootstraps. I will not sit quiet while a man who was saved by grace turns around and tries to snatch grace away from others. If we're going to be real about crime, about
Gentlelady's
communities,
time
about
has expired.
I'd like to yield for an additional minute, please.
Gentlewoman is recognized.
about second chances and even third chances, then it needs to start with us looking in the mirror and remembering that even the author of this bill has a story too before he tries to lecture DC on safety. And it would be complete hypocrisy to have, hypothetically, someone convicted of 34 felonies to lecture DC on what to do with youthful offenders who have been scientifically shown not to have fully developed brains under the age of 25, especially if said multi-count convicted felon was in his 70s when he was convicted. What would be his excuse? Because his brain would be fully developed. And with that, I will yield back.
Fire. That shit was fire.
Well, Tyler, seems like somebody had to remind Byron Donalds about his past and saying, hold up, player.
And that's just how you fight back. And that's why I love Jasmine Crockett. Right? I love Jasmine Crockett. I don't understand Negroes that don't like Jasmine Crockett. I just don't. They're probably a Hebrew Israelite or Muslim or just a hardcore conservative because women of power and intellect threatens them. I don't know. I love that right there. That was beautiful. And just to say that this is how, if you had, like I was saying, if you had like FBA, and FBA was like, hey, look, it just means that, hey, we're just our own, a branch of the African diaspora, and this is who we are culturally and stuff like that, no problem. And you're saying, hey, look, Kofi, yo, Byron Donalds acting out of pocket, and look what he's doing to harm Black American youth. He's in a position, right, to help us out, right? And look what he's doing. Him out of everybody should know you came here, right? Your parents came here as a, I don't know if he was born here or in Jamaica, or he was born here, but it doesn't matter either way. You came over here, right? You were shown mercy several times, not once, not twice, 3 times. You fucked up 3 times, and mercy was still bestowed upon you. And you're going to turn around and hurt other Black youth that's in the same position? You know what I'm saying? Now, as FBA, as a foundational Black African, as a foundational Black African, FBA as a foundational Black African, you say, hey man, you as a Jamaican person just coming over here and doing that, fucking up 3 times, gonna come here and try to fuck up the rest of Black people shit that we have here, that we're trying to establish, that the system is already against us. This is what you want to do? Then they have every right. You know what I'm saying? So if that's what FBA is, what Jasmine Crockett just displayed, I'm all for it. I'm all for it. Tear his stupid ass up. So yeah, so we have that. So we got that out the way. Right. There's something. Okay, yeah, that's about it. Yeah, that's about it. Yeah, when it came to that. Yeah, it's really acting funny. Anyway, hold on one second. This is acting real weird. Like on my icon. Hold on a second. Let me try something. Hopefully I won't. Add myself back. There I go. This has been acting really weird. Yeah, it was acting really weird. I don't know why. But anyway, we're good. We're back. We're good. We're back. All right. So yeah, again, kudos to Jasmine Crockett. I really like what she did. I really like what she did. So I have another story here, and some of the FBA goons might say, what this got to do with us and stuff like that. But don't worry, just follow the breadcrumbs. Follow the breadcrumbs. I'm laying out some breadcrumbs. So when I get to the point, come on. By the time I get to where I've gotten, you understand why I laid out those breadcrumbs in that way. So right here we have we have a story. Hold on, let me check something real quick. Yeah, right here we have a story. It says ICE arrested U.S. citizen twice during Alabama this is construction site raids. Twice. He's a U.S. citizen, right? But obviously they don't care. They nab him up. I'm not going to read the story or whatever, but I just wanted to show you this is a real story. And this is something that's been happening over and over and over again. Even you have people from other states, white, Hispanic, white passing Hispanics or whatever. They see their ID, they expect them to be brown or whatever. They just think they're illegal, right? So I wanted to show you that. So this is a thing. You can Google this. U.S. citizen arrested twice, right? And this story will pop up, right? So now that will lead me to this story. To this story. So you have, I always said, for Black people to wake up, I said this like way over 10 years ago. Someone asked me, what's going to get us out of this situation that we're in? I said, either we're going to have to get ourselves out of this situation, or we're going to have to be forced. We're going to be forced to get out of this situation. and we got a lot of people again faith in United States government, faith in the white man, because we were slaves here and they owe us and they're not gonna do anything to us, even though they redlined you, they bombed you, they killed you, put drugs in your neighborhood, all types of systemic racism from education, economics, housing to everything. But for some reason you think that's them treating you like one of the family. I don't know. I don't get it. But they think nothing can happen to them. So that's going to bring me to this story over here. Hold on one moment. What's that? Hold on. Just writing a little bit slow. Here we go. Bring me to this story right here. Right here, what it says, if you look at the title, fuck them kids. ICE agents dragged children out of bed, ransack Chicago building.
New reports about a chilling and downright shocking escalation of ICE tactics against the residents of Chicago. In the middle of the night, hundreds of armed federal agents and police, backed up by riot trucks, smoke grenades, and helicopters, breached fences and busted doors in an immigration raid on an entire apartment building on the city's south side. They pulled dozens of residents from their homes and zip ties, including children, some of them without any clothes. They then held some outside for hours and dragged the others into rented vans.
It was scary because I've never had a gun put in my face.
Neighbors like Ebony Watson says they ducked for cover as they heard several flashbangs go off.
They was terrified. The kids was crying. People was screaming. They looked very distraught. I was out there crying when I seen the little girl come around the corner. Because they was bringing the kids out too. Had them zip tied to each other. One of them literally laughed. He was standing right here.
I don't want to play the FBA stereotypical let's divide black people up game, but these people, I mean, you can't tell who is an immigrant, like second generation or whatever. You really can't tell. There's a whole spectrum of first generation immigrants where you just can't tell. You know what I'm saying? Because I got cousins out in Texas, and they got that Texas Southern twang, and you would not know. They never even been to Guyana or Jamaica or wherever. You know what I'm saying? You wouldn't know, right? I'm just saying that to say. But these people right here, I would safe to say, this is Chicago. You know what I'm saying? So you have a very diverse of black people. But it seems to me to be black Americans. You know what I'm saying? They don't seem to be immigrants to me. They seem to be black Americans. And a whole apartment complex. I would like to know what the FBA explanation for this is. They're saying a whole apartment complex got nothing but black immigrants in it. That's not how shit works. I don't know where you live in the woods or whatever. I don't know where in the country your ass live. But in the real world and in the cities, that's not how cities work. That's not how cities work.
He said, them kids.
They zip tied the kids together. ICE put out a statement saying they were pursuing.
One of them literally laughed. He was standing right here. He said, them kids.
They zip tied the kids together. ICE put out a statement saying they were pursuing Trinidad gang members, but U.S. citizens living in the building say they were detained too.
Now, I didn't see this whole video. I probably saw like a couple seconds of it, and that's it. Trinidad Oragua. There are no black people. I don't know, maybe y'all may know something better. There's no black people that I know as part of the gang Trinidad Oragua. And it seems like they just attack black people. Like I and other people were saying, they're going to use these raids, the National Guard, as an excuse to detain black people unlawfully. All this is going on right here is unlawful detainment. They don't have a warrant. They're not going after anybody. They just have free range to do what they want. And they have because I said so. So all the FBAs and all the anti-black people, all the pretend Pan-Africans, saying like, "Oh, don't matter to me," and everyone's having a good laugh at it. Yeah, reality is about to hit you in your stupid ass right now, because this is what people's been saying during the election, and fuck around and find out season is still happening, and it's coming to you next. Coming to you. It's gonna be in your backyard. And let's say y'all still gonna be laughing.
Shots told them that if they had any unrelated warrants, they wouldn't be going back home. 37 people were ultimately arrested after agents separated children from their parents on the street. And if you're looking at this and asking yourself, how is this legal? That is the right question to ask. And it has kind of an answer. And to understand it, you have to go back to Los Angeles this summer, where federal immigration agents started pushing the envelope on orders from the White House. They raided Home Depot parking lots and Walmart lots. And
this bitch ass, like the dude started grabbing him. The fucking bitch ass Neanderthal ICE agent started grabbing the kid. He didn't have his mask on. Then he put his mask on and continued to grab the kid. These are a bunch of bitch ass. That's why there's a bunch of MAGA people. I'm pretty sure it has to be a bunch of MAGA people. Because these motherfuckers is cowards.
they grabbed people they saw. Near one Home Depot, masked agents with batons grabbed Narcisco Barranco, who has lived in the U.S. for more than 30 years and has 3 sons serving the Marine Corps. Agents beat Barranco on the ground, dislocating his shoulder before detaining him. In Van Nuys, agents raided a car wash, remembering this, sending patrons and workers scrambling before the 79-year-old owner, who is a U.S. citizen named Rafi, tried to ask them what they were doing.
That is when Rafi was taken down by agents and eventually handcuffed. Rafi says he was injured in the process.
And they sit on me, it's in my elbow.
Damn, he got a nasty speed knot.
And it's in my arm.
Rafi says he and 5 others at his car wash were taken to a federal detention center downtown. We're still working to learn more about why they were detained.
Hey, you got my hand, you're twisting that. I'm American, bro.
Immigrants for no reason other than they weren't obviously white. Like Brian Gavidia, the man you saw there, the 29-year-old American. He wasn't arrested, but he says agents went through his phone for 20 minutes and kept his real ID card. Now, these are obvious violations of people's core constitutional civil rights, their right to equal protection and the freedom from unlawful searches and seizures. And victims filed a class action lawsuit. And after an entire bench trial, a federal judge sided with those victims and ended the ICE sweeps. And in her ruling, she wrote, "It is illegal to conduct roving patrols which identify people based upon race alone, aggressively question them, and then detain them without a warrant, without their consent, and without reasonable suspicion that they are with status." Yes, it is. Yes, it is. It appeals.
So for all the pretend crash study FBA goofball lawyers that saying like, that's not gonna happen to me because I was born here. I was born here. I got roots here. I bled here. I got niggas. Shut up. If that's the case, you will understand the history of this country. Again, you for some reason you think that the white man sees you different. He has this special place in his heart for you. I don't fucking understand why we would think something like that. But at the same time, there are these evil people. It's like, what? It's like, you gotta make that make sense. You gotta make that make sense, right? But thankfully, you have black people that got some sense. And they know what it is, right? So this is going to take us to Twitter. It's going to take us to Twitter.
Citizens in Chicago, like as we speak. And governor has come out. ICE is now detaining African-American citizens in Chicago, like as we speak. And governor has come out and said to record everything, narrate everything, make sure everything is documented, ask for their badge number, even if they refuse, get them on camera. But I'm going to say that again. ICE is now detaining Black citizens in Chicago. For every Black American that got on the internet and this app and refused to talk about what ICE was doing and what is going on in our country, because I don't really care about the Hispanic community because they don't care about us, which is BS in of itself. but that's a whole nother conversation. We told you that we would be next, right? And y'all didn't listen. And look. So this is a sign for everyone to get off their damn high horses and start caring about what is going on in your communities and in your nation. Whether or not is this happening to someone who looks like you. Simply because we are human. This shit is not okay. And we've been yelling that.
Yeah, she's absolutely right. I don't disagree with her. Like that's just how it goes. If you understand politics, you understand history, that's just how it goes. Like since please let me know when did white people all of a sudden love black Americans and black Americans only? Like let me know when this happened. You know what I'm saying? I don't remember anything like that happening, any such event, or white people were having this spiritual epiphany. I really don't. I don't understand racism. Well, okay, yeah, white people are racist and they hate Muslims and they hate Hispanics and they hate Africans, but I'm a black American, so I'm more special because they raped and they beat me and they mistreated me. I'm more close to home. I'm home. I'm who they are. I'm part of them. It's like, what? Sound like fucking Stockholm syndrome. I would like to ask. I cannot ask a FBA person this question because they're not going to be honest. Saying you can't even get them in to have a logical conversation. But people who hold this narrative, they're not going to be honest with themselves. They run away from this conversation. They run away from the same conversation. So here I have another one. Takes us to Twitter.
With the news of the Chicago Ice.
Shout out to Consciously. He posted this.
All right, I ain't never been Mr. I Told You So. So with the news of the Chicago Ice Rage, I'm still not going to be that. But from now on, I need y'all to understand, if you are a black African-American, if you are just brown or a POC, you are now immediately a target for ice raids. In case you ain't know, them folks done ran up into an apartment complex in the middle of Chicago, and regardless of how them folks spoke, regardless of where they said they was from, regardless of how they appeared, they got thrown into a van and sent in for questioning. Some folks didn't get out until 3 a.m., and that's for the older elderly women. That means that is an illegal search. That is an illegal arrest, going into your property, search and seizure, and then sending you in for questioning. And if you had a warrant out for your arrest, you're not getting sent back. That is not normal. That is not okay. That is civilly unrest. So with that news now being understood, all the people in Illinois, I'm sure you know by now, but the governor informed everyone to record everything, to narrate everything, to look at badge and to look out for a badge number and document that too. So for all my African Americans, I need y'all to understand, if them folks come up to you for questioning and they do not give you a badge or a badge number, you do not have to comply. I'm going to say that again. I'm not telling you what to do, but this is something we've seen in our history. They already sent in national troops to Memphis. So it's quite clear that they are now attempting to police us in very illegal measures. They already got spyware going on and all that. But what's really more important right now for you to understand, there are plenty of resources online, and you need to go into that, look at it, and figure out what to do whenever you are potentially questioned by ICE. Also, what's necessary is if you are someone in a city that you're unfamiliar to, you don't got family there, you don't got anything of the sort, there are plenty of organizations there that are based on immigration advocacy, that are based on African-American solidarity, that are based on just being a POC or regardless of what you identify as. Go to that and make that your community. It's time that all of us, we need to be more caring and more cognizant of each other's existence. Watch out for the next man's back, watch out for the next neighbor's back, and just be a little bit more understanding of everyone around you. Get to know your neighbor if you don't. Get to know their name. You know what I'm saying? It's time that you actively do a little bit more to be paying attention of the safety of your neighborhood. Because right now, what Trump's doing is targeting any major city that is potentially outspoken, and any major city that got black people. And you need to be cognizant of that. Do as much research as you can so you know what to do in case you get questioned. And please, 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 once again, if you see your neighbor potentially at risk, by some people that don't look like ICE agents, that look like ICE agents, but potentially could be a dupe, make sure it is known that you are there bearing witness and let that next person know if they aren't identifying themselves that they don't have to comply. Just make sure you are safe. It's a lot of grifters out there. It's a lot of bounty hunters, and it's a lot of people out there getting ready to take advantage of the situation. And I'm not trying to fearmonger, but just inform. The illegal arrests and the search and seizures and the lack of warrants going on, that ain't gonna be sustainable. But right now, remaining informed is the best thing you can do, major city or not.
Yeah, shout out to him. Shout out to Conscious Lee. So, yeah, that he's stating facts. He's stating facts. Yeah, that's really about it. Pretty much what I wanted to highlight. On the last video that I did, the last Twitter video with the sister talking about the ICE raids, it was some FBA dumbass white worshiper Negro saying, "Oh, send us back where? How do you deport us? Send us back where?" All right, I got you. Right? 3 deported by U.S. held in African prison despite completing sentences, lawyer says. The Trump administration, for those of you who might know, they already have somewhere they have some African nations that would take American prisoners and detainees. This happened already. This has happened already. Right here, right? So see you guys, you can see my screen. So right here, you have Al Jazeera is Trump using Africa as a dumping ground for criminals. PBS, 3 deported by U.S. held in Africa prison despite, let's go to the PBS article. Oh, that was the PBS article, my bad. Despite completing sentences, lawyer says, right? The Al Jazeera is Trump using Africa as a dumping ground for criminals. Right here, if you read the little caption right here, yeah, why not? Except it all said leaders of Senegal, Guinea-Bissau, Mauritania, Libya, and Gabon attended a lunch hosted by President Donald Trump at the White House in Washington on July 9th, 2025. There you go. There you go. Like what are we talking about here? What are we talking about here? CNN report, not Trump's dumping ground, outrage over arrival of foreign U.S. deportees in tiny African nation. Right, the U.S. has been quietly attempting to strike agreements with a number of African countries to accept deportees originally from other nations. Like this is a thing. You pretending it's not a thing is ridiculous. But anyway, that's pretty much it for me that I kind of wanted to share. I wanted to pretty much share, the whole FBA nonsense of not knowing who they are, not having knowledge of self, just to show you that. So again, especially being from the Caribbean and places like that, not saying that Black Americans don't place a lot of emphasis on education of their kids. Definitely not saying that. But in my experience looking at Caribbean people and stuff like that, it's to the point where it's almost toxic, where they tell you to, they put all this emphasis on education, but not so much in who you are in self. Do you know who you are? And again, I showed you all those examples, so I didn't get to that yesterday, so I'm glad I got to it today. So anyway, that's really about it for me. Please remember to like, share, and subscribe. Please subscribe to the Better Medicine Podcast. Better Medicine Podcast. We have a show, 8:00 tomorrow, every Saturday at 8 p.m. Also join the Discord and enjoy the rest of your Friday. It's still early. It's 10 o'clock. This is just a fast Ask Kofi anything. It's a Friday. No big deal. No one pulled up. It's a Friday. I get it. No one wants to be home. It's cool. But I really want to get that off my own chest from last night. So see you guys tomorrow at 8 p.m. on the Better Medicine Podcast channel. Peace.